Have you checked the children? You're a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the horror show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Robert the Wolfman.
And Jaime Fuego here.
And we are here to perform a very sensual review, I guess, of another werewolf movie. This one was another Patreon request from none other than Cecil. He is the one that has been requesting all the werewolf movies of late, and the newest one that he has requested as of today is Werewolf, The Beast Among Us. Didn't even need to say it, apparently. All right, I appreciate that.
I didn't say it.
So let me give all of the upfronted clarity and say that this is a movie that I tried to watch with Fuego after last week's recording, and I fell right asleep because I drank too much. So I literally went back the next day in order to give this movie a proper attempt, and I gotta say, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this movie. I think that overall, I was a little lacking in werewolf footage. But
I agree.
I think that they were smart enough in their deliverance of the werewolf footage we got that it still made for an entertaining werewolf film.
Yeah,
So overall, I'm positive.
Yeah, I will contend upon that, actually, man. And the fact that, yes, I know we jumped over Robert, sadly. But he is
Woof, right, Robert? Woof! Sorry.
Woo! He is the veritable expert about this shizzle,
Pretty
man.
much.
And so
I'm already going to do a spoiler real quick before you Fuego. Sorry, buddy, but
I've been
drinking today.
Just a skosh.
Yeah,
I have
but
not.
no, I've already seen this. So, Fuego?
So yeah, the biggest and most amusing aspect about this particular film was the fact that, yes, Cecil had a little bit of sleepy time that was transpiring when we were watching this this particular film, and yes, filmed in Hungary, Bulgaria. God, I feel terrible for even being presumptive about the about the European aspect of this, but when you have amazing like castles and just relative sites where there is something like hundreds of years beforehand that you could take consideration into, I thought that was awesome.
So this was a new werewolf period piece that was requested, and it was a little bit different than most werewolf movies that we get approached. So, Robert, what were your overall thoughts, since we kind of skipped over you a little bit?
My overall thoughts, honestly, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Sorry, I'm drinking a little bit.
Look, Seth, you're going to have to forgive it.
Yeah, you know what?
You're going to have to forgive it. This is the order in which this review fell today. Okay? We've recorded like 6 other things. This is number 7, and you're getting number 7's worth of reviews. So I apologize, and yet I don't apologize.
Truthful to the bare bone. But no. So we're with Werewolf Beast Among Us. I actually, if I remember correctly, I think this was a.
He knows what I was talking about.
I think this was a sci-fi original.
Was it really?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was.
I believe this was a sci-fi
trying to be.
original release back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
trying to be,
that's where I remember originally watching this movie.
Okay.
Back when Sci-Fi Channel was still awesome, and they were still putting in their fucking their time way pre-Sharknado.
Not way. What is this, 2013?
This
Pass away.
honestly, I think this
I would check
probably,
my phone, but it's
No say.
recording.
Yeah,
No
well,
say it to us. Much away.
I can't find it right now, but
Okay, fair enough.
I'd probably say between about 2012 and maybe early 2014.
Okay. Yeah, that's about what I
It's
figured.
14.
Yeah.
Forever.
No, it was a very prolific year in that regard.
It was,
So-
but that's again though too. It's like I've said many times on this channel and everything, especially for movies that we've had that have come for display basically from the Sci-Fi Channel, that there's definitely a different monster and for what we got for the older Sci-Fi Channel movies for what we get nowadays.
Yeah, dude.
And that goes
Sci-Fi has upped their game.
altered
well,
distinction.
up their game, but at the same time, they've not backed down their stuff, because the last good thing and everything that I can remember of a Sci-Fi original release was Dog Soldiers. That was the
That
last.
was a Sci-Fi original.
That was a Sci-Fi original release.
Holy shizzle!
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember watching
Fair
that
enough.
the very night it premiered.
Yeah, if I'm
On
gonna quote
Sci-Fi.
NWA, dude, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
how
Am I wrong?
about we going back way back?
Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
it goes a little
Wasn't
something like
Ginger
this.
Snaps
Hit it.
Also, I think
Ginger
off of a
Snaps
Sci-Fi.
was, I
was
believe,
from
just
the
direct to
same-
video. I don't believe it was
Okay,
a
it wasn't
Sci-Fi.
Sci-Fi, but it was directed.
Yeah,
Okay. Fair enough.
it was a Canadian-based film company that did
Yeah.
do Ginger Snaps, but
yeah,
I believe
yeah,
it was
yeah.
a direct to video.
The Canadian Clarification Company, CCC. What's up?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to be funny.
But all,
Canadian clarification. Company.
I'm trying to be
I
like,
it.
yeah,
I like it. I just,
I'm
I
trying
mean,
to be, I'm trying
they
to be
don't like things to
Catherine
be up in the
Hahn.
air, so they will clarify exactly what's going on.
Right.
I like
Yeah.
it.
fact check us.
Yeah, I'm trying to be like
Um,
Catherine Hahn funny, where it's so stupid you're just like, is that actually real?
Yeah,
So,
but all in all, though, on overall thoughts of this movie, it was a very enjoyable movie, especially for a direct-to-video / direct-to cable
right?
cable
I got there
television.
at the same time as you.
Yeah, the cable television movie and everything like that. Because the last thing, especially with this movie, is they incorporated a lot of CG along with some nice little practical effects.
Right.
yeah, for better or for
Grant-
worse with the CG though. I must
Exactly.
admit,
Yeah, they
unfortunately.
definitely were a little over heavily handed on the CG versus what they should have been on the CG. Or sorry, on the CG versus what they should have been on the practical.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Although we know what you mean, man, and that's
Yep.
just basically where people will like, where will the attention be caught, and
that's-
it makes the ultimate sense.
Exactly,
Like
yeah.
regardless of
And
what
personally,
you're putting forth.
yeah, and personally with me, that's one of my biggest gripes with any werewolf movie, is I want to see practical over CG.
Yeah.
That's where Werewolf from
So that's
Werewolf
where
from
Werewolf
Paris.
in Paris, you fucking hate that.
Exactly. Well, I don't
But
necessarily.
they mixed the practical with the CG very
Okay,
well.
but
in
the
that
practical looked like dog
movie. No,
shit.
I disagree.
I'm actually with
Fuego
Cecil.
and I disagree.
I'm
We
with
did a
Cecil.
review of
Okay,
it
I know you guys
while
did.
you were away.
I know.
And
I
guess
know.
what? Guess what? You missed
Especially-
your opportunity to
Yeah,
chime in.
I know.
You
I
missed
know.
it.
I will. I
You
will
missed
take
it.
care of that in the comments.
Especially as the time, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, with the like rendered limitations.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
because even with going like circling back and everything, I'm pulling a Jen Psaki. We're gonna circle back
Do
to
your thing.
Werewolf in Paris and everything, the CG and the time and everything.
I'm allergic to this.
I know,
Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki. I know.
Yeah, it seems to be becoming more inherent than we initially anticipated.
So like
Let us get it properly and saucepated.
All right. Shh.
Sorry.
to the era of when
Sorry,
we had that
God.
movie release and everything, that's one of those things where you can be a little more forgiving on between that mix of CG and practical, because they
No,
were
you're right.
still trying to find that fine line.
And it's a fine friggin' line, man.
It
I
is.
mean, it's
It
not
is
like,
a fine. It is a fine friggin' line,
It's
because
not a
it's
black
a,
or white sort of situation.
no, it's
It
a
is
fine
very much-
gray area where you can work with your CGI to enhance your practical, or your CGI overindulges your practical, and you're completely lost in entirety.
I
Yeah,
feel
so
like
it's like
I
countering
feel
it.
like the practical was assisting the CG in
In-
this
in the-
case,
in this-
as opposed to vice versa.
Sorry, let me go back. In this movie,
Because
yes.
this was more CG than you got practical.
Yes.
The practical you got was there to, bolster the CG that
Especially
you got.
for
So
the
CG
silhouette
might have been
aspects.
quick and it
Yeah,
might
you're
not
right.
have looked great,
Yep.
but then you cut to the practical
Yep.
and it sells the CG
Yeah.
in the way that they did it. However, I gotta say, the CG was repetitive and blurry. Because that's the way it was at the time. And so it didn't sell the werewolf as well as, personally, I think more practical werewolf effects would have. However, it's what they went with. It didn't look bad. It just it wasn't scary, and it wasn't as effective as I think practicality would have been
Yeah.
in those circumstances.
And like I know you and I have had this discussion before, basically on the very shaky aspects of certain action scenes, which it goes back to where they're not entirely sure of what they want to do and film for that sequence. So they create basically that shaky, choppy film to where you're not entirely inclusive of what's actually going on, so it keeps more onto what's going on for imagination.
Sure.
I can see where they went to in that, especially with lower budget creature features, werewolf movies and everything.
Yeah, and I mean, props to that sort of approach, but you know, when you have something that has like dire thriller sorts of like, I don't know, hushed vengeance and stuff like that, it's a little bit different.
So just to real quick, because we've been meandering all over the place already.
We try our best.
The story is about a specific town that is having werewolf issues, and then a group of hunters show up saying they can take down the beast because no one within the town has, and there's something off specifically about one of the hunters, but you know, there's a boy in the town that is assisting the doctor slash mortician, essentially, and so this kid gets embroiled in the issues of the town, the deaths that are going on, that the new hunters are showing up asking questions about. He has more answers than most people, so he goes and tries to get involved. Doesn't necessarily go the best for him, but without spoiling, that's what this movie is about. And I gotta say, it was a satisfactory story. It's not a story that I've seen before in the werewolf continuity, so upon my second watch, I enjoyed this one for sure.
Yeah, no, most definitely, and like that's the nice thing like that I've come to kind of realize about werewolf movies is a lot of times they actually fall better in the story writing and even character development when they're set in their like early or even late 19th or 18th century storytelling.
Which we got here.
Yeah. Exactly, which is exactly what we got here. But at the same time, there was a semi-futuristic aspect, especially with things like how, if you guys have seen the Beowulf movie, there was a postmodern but also modern aspect to that movie, and that we get that with this movie Werewolf Beast Among Us, especially when they come into certain weaponry, flamethrowers,
Sure.
things like that. There is that semi-futuristic but pre/postmodernism.
I didn't feel like they leaned on that so much though.
No?
It was fine to see, but I don't feel like it was such a big part of the story.
Not too drastically and everything, but it was nice enough. I felt they alluded to this necessarily isn't an 18th century story.
Sure.
This could be a post-apocalyptic kind of thing because we still have flamethrowers.
Can't really place it, yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, acting-wise, there were strong people, there were weaker people. It was all over the spectrum on this one.
Yep.
Your main kid, sort of.
There was three main characters I think that actually did the best. Was our main town kid and everything who was helping our hunters, our main hunter, and his second in command. And everything. Those were the best characters that we
Agreed.
had.
Yeah.
We definitely did have some decent supporting characters in the sense of the female and the two other gentlemen that we had for the hunter group. Those were nice because they actually, what's funny is they actually reminded me of a couple extras characters from a PS1 game from Dracula Untold.
Okay.
Or not Dracula Untold, Dracula Resurrection.
Okay.
Yeah, which was kind of nice. Like, it's just those little like nostalgia kind of whatchamacallem. Yeah, I know.
Exactly as much of a...
I know. I'm trying to think of
okay.
whatchamacallem and everything. But basically that familiarity
Okay.
and everything between those characters.
I gotcha. Okay. So, effects-wise, we touched on this a lot already, so we can just touch on it briefly again. I think it was personally a little too much CG, not enough practical to back it up. There was still some practical, and that was fine, but it was just too much CG where I couldn't get invested in the scares of the movie personally. What about you guys?
No, I would definitely agree with that. I would, again, I've said this before on a lot of our werewolf reviews, and even in general, I like practical effects.
Sure.
I want to see more practical effects than I would do CG. CG is nice for enhancing those practical effects.
Yeah,
but
embellish a little.
Don't lean on them.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where, again, like what Cecil was saying, this movie kind of, they shouldered upon a little bit much. But going back to, I feel it just goes back to their budget of what they're working with. For what they had between the CGI and the practical effects werewolf, what we saw on the silhouettes and things, they were definitely nicely done. They didn't take you out or even necessarily bring you deeper into the story, but there were that nice little gray area. So yeah, I think that's honestly going to probably basically do it for our review of Beast.
That's going to cover
Werewolf.
Werewolf, the Beast Among Us. Yes.
Yeah.
We got it.
For some sort of discussion, but
thank you,
not
Seth T. Miller.
happening.
No, it's okay. It happens sometimes. We still got some good
appreciate
discussion in. Look,
Yeah.
this is a movie that's still worth your time.
And
The
most
effects
definitely.
don't necessarily hold up, but it is still a fun period piece werewolf movie that has some good action, has some twists and turns. Definitely one twist in the third act that you don't really see coming, except for the fact that some of the henchmen have some metal teeth that they'll throw in at times. So
Yeah, and
they
also the
allude to things, but
That I thought
the
was
movie
super cool.
the movie is not the best werewolf movie, but it's definitely not the worst. I think it's worth checking out.
Most
So
definitely
that is-
enjoyable enough.
Yes.
It
Thank you very much, Seth T. Miller, for requesting this one along with all the other werewolf movies. I apologize. We'll try and do these not the 7th review of the day or whatever going forward, but that's going to do it. Next month, I believe the review we're going to be doing is Where.
Yes.
So I've never seen that. I'm excited to watch it.
I'm
so
so excited to talk about that
I was
movie.
about to say,
I'm
never
so
have I
excited to
either.
talk about
Holy
that.
crap, man.
We'll get to that one next. So thank you very much for watching. If you want to become a patron like Seth, the link is in the description box down below. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
Robert the Wolfman.
And gracias, I've been Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.